in just about a minute or two, so you might find your seats, and we'll get started here in about a minute. Looks like everybody's ready to get started here. My name is Steve Dunlap. I'm Associate Athletic Director here at Union. We're excited you're here today. We have an exciting event, really a couple events that we like to explain and tell you all about. We'll have some football games and a track meet coming up. And really the person that was the brainstorm behind this is Philip O'Neill, the District AD at Mansfield. And it's just been great to work with. And I'm going to invite him to come up and kind of say how his idea got started, and then we'll just go from there.
Thank you, Steve. First of all, I want to thank the Tulsa area schools for the opportunity to be here today, and for you to allow us to bring our coaches and our athletes. And I think it's great that our athletes are having an opportunity to mingle with each other and get to know each other prior to the event. I also want to thank the superintendent of schools in Mansfield ISD and the school board. We have a superintendent and a school board that is very student focused, and as a result they are continually looking for ideas to create experiences for the students that we serve. And our superintendent has done that on several occasions by having concerts in Mansfield ISD, where our fine arts students have an opportunity to be a part of the concert with an artist, in one case a Grammy award-winning artist, and in this case it's for our athletes. It's for us to have the opportunity to create an experience for our athletes, and we couldn't do that obviously without partnering with somebody. And when this whole thing started, the conversation that we had with the Tulsa area schools was about partnering with them, and that's what this has been. And it's been a partnership for us to create, again, an experience for the students that we serve. In Mansfield, the superintendent and I were sitting in the press box watching a football game this last fall, and we were talking about all the media coverage that some of the Dallas area districts get for their football programs. And we kind of looked at each other and said, listen, they're not as good as we are. Why are we not getting the kind of coverage that some of the other school districts are getting? So we started talking about, how do we do that? How do we create more coverage for the students, the incredible students that we have, and the incredible coaches that are in Mansfield? And so we started talking about the potential of playing somebody from another multi-high school district, maybe in Texas. Talked a little bit about maybe playing somebody in Louisiana. And I was in a meeting with the campus coordinators, and Coach Melson kind of talked about, what about playing some people in Oklahoma? He's from Oklahoma. He's the head football coach at Legacy, and I'll introduce him here in a little bit. But he knew some people in this area, and so he connected me with some different people. And fortunately, I landed with Steve Dunlap, ultimately here in Union, and he and I have had the opportunity to get to know each other through this process. And to be quite honest with you, he deserves as much credit for making this deal happen as anybody. He's the one that got the Tulsa area schools together. He invited our guys up to a conference meeting, and we pitched the idea to him. There was 10 different schools in the room, and it took a couple of weeks for them to get back with us. There was some logistical issues with our seasons not lining up in 18 and 19. 5 of their schools were able to work that out, and ultimately in the end, then we landed with the schools that are in the room. Steve and I are going to have an opportunity to introduce those schools here shortly. Throughout that process, once we agreed that we were going to play, then the Tulsa guys, coaches, athletic directors, came to Mansfield. We wanted them to see Mansfield. We wanted them to see what it was. We wanted to see what a great place it is. We wanted them to see how student-centered our administration and our community were. And I think through that process, they got an idea of what we were like, and that in itself also allowed them to be comfortable playing the Mansfield schools. So it's been a great story to this point. We've had we really look forward to coming here this next year and playing in Tulsa. We hope one of the things that we hope to be able to make happen is we are working diligently to get an audience with the Cowboys to hopefully play when the Tulsa schools come to Texas to play in AT&T on a weekend. So we've made sure that they understand there's no guarantee of that. We don't have control of that, but at the same time, it's something that we want to do. It's something that we want to make happen. So it gives us we have a window here. We're coming to Tulsa this year. It allows us a little more opportunity than to try to make that deal. When the Tulsa guys came to Mansfield, a part of our dialogue was, how do we expand this beyond just football? And we decided this first year, the best opportunity for that was for us to have a track meet to kind of kick off our relationship. So because the Mansfield schools are coming to Tulsa next year, this spring on March the 10th, Mansfield is going to host a track meet with the 10 schools that are in the room, the 5 Tulsa area schools, the 5 Mansfield schools. The track coaches are here this morning. The Mansfield coaches have been diligently working to create an event that we hope will be something that will be special for the Tulsa athletes to come to Mansfield. And again, it's a way for us to kind of kick off our relationship. So there was a large amount of agreement in the room that was the best way for us to start this whole process and for us to build this relationship. So we're very excited to be hosting the Tulsa area schools in a track meet on March the 10th. It should be a great opportunity. Steve, is there anything I left out? Is there anything I need to add to that? Again, I can't tell you enough about how much I've enjoyed working with Steve and all the work that he's done, and the other athletic directors and coaches in the room as well from Tulsa. You guys have been great, and I really appreciate that. What we're going to do at this point, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to introduce you to the Mansfield coaches, the head football coaches. They're going to talk a little bit about their team this next year. They're going to talk about maybe some of the successes they've had in the past. They're going to talk, they're also going to introduce their track coaches. We have some of the best players in the state of Texas, really in Mansfield. And, another thing, another part of the dialogue that the superintendent and I had when we kind of started brainstorming about what to do to try to generate some more interest for our student athletes and our coaches was we got to thinking about the Landry Award is an award that's given to the top football player in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And 2 years ago, Jet Duffy from Mansfield Lake Ridge High School won that award. He's now a quarterback at Texas Tech. Last year, the award was won by Kennedy Brooks, who was a running back at Mansfield High School. And again, this is the player of the year in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This year, had it not been for the magic of Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones' grandson, and I might add he was quite deserving of the award. I'm certainly not saying anything derogatory about him in any way, but if it had not been for him and his magic, Jalen Catalon, who's sitting over here, who'll be introduced in a minute, would have been that player. So again, we have incredible talented athletes in Mansfield. We have incredibly talented coaches, and I want to take the opportunity now to introduce Coach Chris Melson. Chris played football at Oklahoma. None of us have held that against him to this point. But yes, sir. And he's going to introduce his guys.
Thanks, Coach O'Neill. Man, great to be here today at Union. Coach Frederick and I have been friends a long, long time, and so we're excited about this opportunity. All of us are, and glad I get to be a part of it. But 3 of my players are with me today. First is Tarian Carter, number 9. You can stand up, TC. He's a defensive lineman. He'll be a senior next year, and been a 2-year starter and all-district player and doing a great job for us. And then number 5, Jalen Cataline, Philip O'Neill mentioned him earlier. He was our quarterback and free safety this year. As a sophomore, he was the player of the year in Texas in 5A as defense, and he's our leader and our captain, and we love that guy. So, all right. And then Enoch Jackson Jr., number 99. He's a nose guard. Probably wouldn't guess it by looking at him, but looks more like a tailback. He thinks of himself as a tailback. He scored a touchdown for us in the semis this year. 2 carries, 1 touchdown. So we got a 50-50 chance when we get it to him. So, but he's a senior and a great player. But great guys. My track coach, one of them here today, Lacey Beckler, our women's track coach, is here, and our men's coach couldn't miss practice. He's too pumped up about track practice. So Coach Bates is my track coach. He's not here. But anyways, we're excited about our season. You talk about the just introduce the players and stop, or you said talk about your team, or would you? Okay, talk about my team just for a minute. Okay, 2 minutes. I could talk forever about the Broncos, but I've been real blessed. I got to be the first head coach they ever hired at Legacy when they built the school in 07. I've been there 11 years. I love it. It's my home, and I love my players. And last 2 years we've got beat 2 years ago by Highland Park, 14-7 in the 4th round. These 2 guys were starters as sophomores, were great players. And then this year we got beat in the semis by Aledo in the last minute. And we got Enoch Jackson moved in from Stillwater, Oklahoma this year, and been a great addition. But we've got a good team coming back. Got some holes to fill, obviously. Every team does, but they're working really, really hard. Our goal is to be a state champion. It's all of our goals, and man, we got a great competition just in our district. Timberview Wolves are going to be in our district, and they're awesome. We had Summit and Lake Ridge last year that were incredible, and so we're blessed to be where we're at. But we're excited about 2018 and working hard every day to try to be the state champion. So that's my team.
Thank you, Coach Melson. I had to assign Enoch to TC today to keep him in line. TC was the last. I can't ever figure this out. He was the last one of the bus, but the first one in the line to eat. So crazy. So Mansfield High School, Mansfield Summit High School, pardon me, Coach Shannon Hall.
Good afternoon. My name is Shannon Hall, head coach at Mansfield Summit High School. This is going into my 3rd year at the high school. I came from Colleen Shoemaker. The first year went 4-6 when I got there. Got some guys going. These 2 young men that I brought with me started as sophomores and really grew up and led the team for us this past season. We went 9-5 and made it to the 3rd round. Lost to the eventual state champions Highland Park as well. But we had a great year, great young men coming back. Will Jones, standing up Will. William Jones is cornerback, also plays some receiver, also is one of our best track athletes. He's committed to TCU at this time. Then we have Bryson McKinney. He's our quarterback. He's also a 3-year starter. He has some offers coming up, the biggest one at Texas State right now to play quarterback. Both of these men are futures are bright. They're A and B students, great character kids, and they're leaders in our program, and it makes it come to work fun every day with these gentlemen. Coming back next year, we feel pretty good about it, just getting it started. We have great leadership, so we'll return 8 guys from the defensive side of the ball that started games for us last year. We'll return 6 on offense with our quarterback. So, we have a long way to go, but we feel good about where we're at just because we have good young men like these 2, and these guys work hard and do everything we ask them to do on and off the field. So we feel good about it just because it's fun to come to work with these guys. And our head girls track coach and cross-country coach, Coach Shannon Utley, is with us today. She'll talk a little bit later, but we're glad to have her with us today, and go Jaguars.
Thank you, Coach Hall. He's doing an incredible job on his campus. He's changed the culture there, and again, he's molding young men, and these 2 guys are fine examples of what he's doing. Mansfield Timberview, Coach James Brown. James didn't make it with us when we came to make the presentation, but I'm glad he's here with us today.
I appreciate you guys having us down here in Oklahoma. We're really excited. We're blessed to have this opportunity to play against some very good competition. We've been kind of used to that, as Coach Melson had alluded to earlier, used to really good competition. Semifinalists in Legacy, 3-round deep in Summit, semifinalists in Lake Ridge last year. So, we were one of the teams last year who struggled a little bit. We were in a youth movement. These two guys are part of that youth movement. We played 15 freshmen and sophomores on the varsity in a district that's really tough. So we feel good about the next couple years coming up. So we're really pleased to be here and excited to be a part of this whole deal. Jalen Kimber is a junior corner who's come back for us this year. Was a starter for us last year as a sophomore, broke his collarbone, so he missed about 4 games. And then re-broke it in the middle of the season, didn't you? So he broke his collarbone at the end of the summer, missed the first part of the season, got back for us, and then broke it against Highland Park last year. So Jalen Kimber is playing corner for us. He's a sophomore. Jordan Davis played tight end for us last year and some defensive end, and we have moved him to quarterback now. He can spin the ball, he can run the ball, he can do a lot of different things. 2 guys with very high character, good grades, 2 of the best kids that I've ever been able to coach, and I'm very pleased to have brought them here today with us. So like I said, I've been at Timberview for 6 years. 4 of those years we've been in the playoffs. Feel like we've built a very consistent competitive program. We've been the team that's kind of been unfortunate. The first year I got there, we got stuck with Coach Thor opened up Lake Ridge, and we got stuck with about 1,500 kids from 28 the day I walked in, and got stuck with DeSoto and Cedar Hill and those guys in that district. So struggled a little bit the first year, then went 8-4 the next year, and lost to Euless Trinity in the second round, and kind of have been building that momentum over the last 5 years, and we feel really good about what's coming up. Our 2 track coaches, Rob Johnson, our head boys coach, is here, and Rebecca Morrison, our head girls track coach, is here. We're very pleased and privileged to be a part of this whole deal. We're really excited about it and can't wait to get it on.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Brown. Coach Mayberry, the head coach at Mansfield High, couldn't be with us today. He is experiencing some health issues, so we miss him very much, but he'll be back with us soon. He's kind of in and out. So filling in for him is Coach George. So, Coach George, will you talk about your guys?
Absolutely. I'm Coach George from Mansfield High School. We're black and gold, and we're the Tigers, too. So that'll be a great matchup. Got with us Leighton Ernst. He's a offensive lineman, junior, and Miles Williams, defensive back, junior. These are two guys that started as sophomores and as juniors, and we're looking towards good things from them this year. At Mansfield, we got some really good kids. We love our team. We've had some really good success in the last several years. District champs 3 times in a row. I think we have a district win streak that goes back to 2014. We've been several rounds in the playoffs. Looking forward to some more good things this year. We lost 51 seniors from the last team. We got 2 coming back on offense, including Leighton, and we have 4 coming back on defense. Even given that, we're really excited about this year. We lost a lot the year before. We were still able to be successful last year, and we're hoping to plug in those holes and get after them. Track coaches, Matt Walker is our boys coach, and Danny Calderon is our girls coach. Thank you.
So the last 2 years, Mansfield High has been the only 6A school. The other 4 schools have been 5A. During this realignment for the next 2 years for 18-19, Lake Ridge, Mansfield, and Summit will all be 6A, and then Legacy and Timberview will be 5A. So Mansfield's accustomed to playing 6A. As Coach George mentioned, they're the 3-time defending district champion. They've made some playoff runs. Kennedy Brooks, who's playing at Oklahoma, was the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex Player of the year before, and they still came back after losing him and won the district championship this last year. So Lake Ridge High School is Coach Kirk Thor. Coach Thor is kind of the senior member in the room. He's been in Mansfield a long time. At one point, he was the head coach at Mansfield High. He moved to the athletic office and was an assistant athletic director, and decided that was not where he needed to be himself, and so he wanted to coach kids. He loves kids. He's incredible with kids, and so I'm going to turn it over to Coach Kirk Thor.
Thanks, Coach O'Neill. Thanks, Union, for hosting us. Thanks for you all letting us be here. It's a fun opportunity. Lake Ridge is a great place because of the people we have, and I want to introduce our track coaches. They've done an incredible job. Some of you all see them, 2 weeks from now, but Coach Lauren Jones, our head girls track coach, does a great job with our girls. Coach Michael Pruitt, our head boys coach, those 2 people do a great job with what we have, and it's a privilege to be a head coach when you have good people around you. And the players we have here are good returning starters, leaders on our team. Our secondary corner going to be safety here. Addison MacArthur, leader of our defense, returning starter, and Chandler Rogers, our quarterback, returning starter at quarterback. Those two guys make it fun, and those kids make it fun. And Mansfield's a good place because of the people. And if you ask people kind of what makes it great, it's the people we have, administration, the kids, the coaches. So it's a real honor to be a part of this whole thing. And to be able to play the Tulsa schools, it's fun. I mean, it's a great facility, so we're excited. We're a young school. We're 6 years old. We were 0-10 the first year when we opened up. We had 6 seniors. We were in every game until kickoff. Then it was over. And so that's how we started. And we built. Our kids really worked hard, and our coaches, worked hard to build a tradition. And we've been in the playoffs the last 4 years, which has been fun. Went to the state finals in year 4, so our kids got to experience that. And last year we were 12-2. It was a fun run for us because we have some good people. But we're excited about going to play a school like Union, who's a traditional powerhouse, who wins and knows how to win, and they have a tradition. It's a great opportunity for our team to come and see and be able to play a team that has that long tradition. And we're trying to build that here at Lake Ridge. But it's a great place, and we appreciate y'all hosting us. We're excited about this event and just excited about getting our kids together. And really, our players at the table, they get lifelong friendships they make here. They get to play each other and get to know each other and follow each other. So that's really a fun thing. And at the end of the day, football and track are great, but that's just a tool we use to build kids for life. And so that's really why we're here. So that's what's fun about this, because everybody's on the same page. We make that fun for our kids. So thanks.
Thank you, Coach Thor. So one of the things that happened when the Tulsa guys came to Mansfield is we had to determine matchups. And so, I don't want to offend anybody in the room, but nobody wanted to play Union. It got down to Mansfield High and Lake Ridge, and we were going to flip a coin, and we couldn't find a coin anywhere. So there was a Hershey bar sitting on the table. So they flipped a Hershey bar. And Coach Thor lost. He said he'll never flip a Hershey bar for a game the rest of his life. So we're calling this the Hershey Bowl. Hopefully it's a story that'll carry on for a long time beyond this game. The other thing that came out of that is I had no idea it would be the Black and Gold Tigers playing the Black and Gold Tigers. So that's kind of a cool thing as well. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Steve. Again, we can't thank you enough for the opportunity to be here today. We can't thank you enough for the opportunity to create an experience with you for the students that we serve. We can't thank you enough about the opportunity to play quality schools to help us try to get to where we want to go with our programs. And so, again, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Okay, thank you. That's very impressive hearing about each of the Mansfield schools. We knew that going in. And one thing about all the schools in here is they like competition. We all feel like to be the best, you've got to play the best, and you've got to play that great competition to elevate your programs. And I think this type of series, obviously, there's going to be great athletes running up and down the field. There's going to be great coaching. So we're real excited about it. The track meet, I know there's going to be just a tremendous track meet down in Mansfield, so we're excited about those. What I'm going to do is go around and I'll introduce the athletic directors at the Tulsa area schools and let them introduce their track coaching and any of the guests that they might have here, and then they'll introduce their football coach and let them speak a little bit. And I'll start over here with Jenks, and Tony Dillingham is their athletic director.
Thank you, Steve. Philip, they pretty well said everything there. It's really neat to get to be have the opportunity to be a part of this type of series as we look, for 2018 and 2019, and hopefully continue to grow it beyond that, not only in the areas of track and football, but potentially other sports as well. And so we feel very fortunate when we look at an education-based athletic program, and we see all the schools involved here really fit that mode. From that end, so it's really neat to be a part of that. I have one guest here today. Our high school principal was able to attend. David Byler is our high school principal, very supportive of athletics. He's actually my immediate supervisor, so I got to make sure that I get him introduced and do those things from that end of it. Our track coaches were not able to attend today, but I think we're well represented back there with the other schools here in the Tulsa area. It's my pleasure to introduce Coach Alan Trimble, and he will introduce his players.
Thank you, Tony. Again, it's an honor to be here, and certainly the opportunity to be a part of this event. You guys are all sandbagging a little bit, I think, Coach Melson. great league that these Texas schools play in, and tremendous programs. I brought 3 members of our team. They're all on our leadership council and captains. 2-year starter Dylan O'Keefe, defensive end and tight end, fabulous young man. Jenks been here his whole life, and a great young man. Next to him is Brady Latham. Brady's will be a 2-year starter at left tackle. You may remember Brady's dad, Bobby, that played at OU, great player at center. And next to him is Landis Morris. Landis will be a 3-year starter at safety. And these are 3 great young guys, great students. Pleasure to coach. They're good young men. And we return, Jenks returns 20 lettermen, 14 starters. So we're excited to have a great nucleus of young men back. And we also got to find some guys. Hopefully some young guys will step up. But we're looking forward to it. I've known Coach Melson for a long time, and a great guy. And I don't just say that, I interviewed him in the 90s and thought I had him, but he took off to Texas, and I don't think any of us argue it's been a great deal. You've done a great job, Coach. But we're looking forward to it, and certainly thank you guys for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Have the athletic director from Sand Springs, Rod Sinton.
Thank you. One of the reasons we are in the room is we compete with what we like to refer to as the Power 4, the Big 4 schools in the Tulsa metro area. We are much smaller, and so we look at this as an opportunity to put us out there, put our kids on the scene, and let people have a look at us. So that's why we're here, and we're excited about it. Don't let me lead you astray on that. It's a big deal for Sand Springs. We've never ventured out of state to play. We've never been involved in anything like this. We are pretty excited. I have with me today actually my 2 track coaches, Virginia Williams and Mike Birch. Incidentally, Mike is also the mayor of Sand Springs, so he can talk to you if you like. And then I'd also like to introduce Dustin Kennard, who is my head football coach.
All right, thank you guys. I brought these 2 young men with me. Cameron Lyerly, he's going to be a 3-year starter at center. Stand up for me, Cameron. Luke Bratcher is going to be a 3-year starter. He's a 2-way player for us. Played tight end and outside linebacker. So these guys are our team captains, very outstanding young men, straight A students. Can't say enough good things about them. Again, like Mr. Sitton was saying, we are very excited to be part of this border brawl. We've been to the playoffs 8 out of the last 10 years. Been fortunate enough to have 2 semifinal appearances and a state final appearance against Bixby Spartans. We just are very excited to get to play the quality opponents. Try to get our program to the level of the other 9 opponents in this room. And when we were presented with the idea, we were in the room and we didn't really realize that, hey, we got a shot to do this. There was a few other schools that were in front of us that decided not to. So again, we are just so excited to try to get our program to the level of the other 9 opponents in this room, and just can't wait for it to get here. So thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now have the athletic director from Bixby, Jay Biddle.
Thank you, Steve. I'm excited to be a part of this as well. Appreciate Philip and Steve for getting this going, and Union for having us here. And I grew up in Bixby, as did our athletic coordinator, Stephanie Blackwell. I brought our high school principal, Terry Adams, with us. And growing up in Bixby, went to football games since I was old enough to walk, and we've had a long tradition of good football. But Lauren Montgomery, our head football coach, has taken it, to a whole nother level with 3 state titles in 4 years, a state finals this last season. And I know he's excited about the upcoming year and the matchup that we have going on. So I'll turn it over to Coach Montgomery.
As a player and a football coach here in Oklahoma, you always hear about Texas football, and Texas is a measuring stick, and so we're tremendously excited. We've had the opportunity to go out of state and play the last couple of years over in Arkansas, and I know some of the schools here have had the opportunity to go to Texas and play, and we're excited to throw our name in the hat and have the opportunity to do that. I brought two of our returning starters with us. Both these guys will be 3-year starters for us. The first is Cade Cavender. He's a wide receiver, defensive back for us. Been a very good player, great quality young man, straight A student in the classroom, as well as Ryan Kerr. Had an older brother that played here as well. He'll be a 3-year starter at tight end or H-back, as well as linebacker for us. Both these young men are just tremendous kids, tremendous athletes, and will represent our program well. We've got 7 returning starters coming back on defense and 6 returning starters coming back on offense, and we're excited about those guys. But like a few guys I've heard, got several holes to fill, and so we're excited. I talked just a little bit with Coach Brown about the atmosphere. I know I can probably speak for all the schools here. The atmosphere here on Friday night is tremendous, and we're really looking forward to hosting Timberview on I believe it is August 30th next year. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next is Broken Arrow, their athletic director, Ken Ellett's been there for a few years. I had the privilege of coaching wrestling for him for several years, and he was a great man to work for and has built a great program there at Broken Arrow. So here's Ken Ellett, athletic director at Broken Arrow.
Thank you, Steve. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. O'Neill for all his work and vision. We sure appreciate that. We're excited about it. And I do want to thank Steve Dunlap for all his hard work. He's been doing all the legwork and pulling all these things together, and we appreciate that very much. We've got some guests here. I'd like to first introduce Chuck Perry. He's our associate superintendent. We've also got, we brought so many folks, I have a list here on my phone. But I also want to introduce our assistant athletic director, Miss Melinda Knight. We also have our Steve Cowan, who is our coordinator of sports information. Where are you at, Steve? There. And Charlie Hanema, our director of public relations. Charlie, where are you at? Oh, he had to step out. Okay. We are the largest high school in Oklahoma, and I have been there for a long time. This is actually my 28th year as the athletic director of Broken Arrow, and I've seen a lot of changes over the years. And you know, we've always been a pretty solid program, but our goal is to be the best. And Coach Alexander's done a great job with the football program. He's creating a culture that accepts nothing but excellence, and we are excited about that. And I'm going to turn it over to him and let him introduce his people he's got here, and also our track coach.
Thank you, Coach Ellett. All right, well, let's do 2 things. All right, first, our track coach, Mr. Scott Wilkinson. All right, second, I'm going to put the microphone down. I've been taking some pictures and sending them to Coach Mayberry, so we're all going to wave at Coach Mayberry here. Coach Alexander, I'm a Broken Arrow graduate. I'm proud to be back at my alma mater. I've been there 4 seasons. Not only are both Mansfield High and Broken Arrow black and gold, and we're the Tigers, okay, but you'll see kind of a similar style of football when we match up, right? Run the football, a bunch of big guys up front, kind of, hey, we're going to line up, we're going to run it right here, and just see how tough you guys are. Well, that's kind of how Broken Arrow is. So doing that, I brought 2 of our biggest, toughest kids, right? First, Kaiser Newell. All right, he started as a sophomore at fullback down there week 1 against Euless Trinity. All right, and then D'Amico Rowland. Now you got to smile, D'Amico. D'Amico, there you go. D'Amico's my favorite football player on the team because he's always got a smile on his face, but he won't let anybody outwork him either. This is such an incredible deal. When I was lucky enough to get hired, right, that's one of the things that I talked about, right? We want to be as good as Union, right, who's beat us in the semifinals this last year. We want to try to catch up to Jenks, who beat us in the championship game a couple years ago. And to do that, we had to play great opponents. And Mr. Perry and Mr. Ellett and Ms. Knight agreed with that. And so we've had the opportunity to play Texas schools. And this marriage with Mansfield is going to be an incredible deal. And we really look forward to these next 2 years. And hopefully we can continue that for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have Emily Barkley, the athletic director at Union, who does a fantastic job for us. It's certainly an honor to get to work for her. And I'll let her introduce the track coach and some other guests, and then our head football coach.
Thank you. I also want to thank the media for coming out here today. What an exciting thing for us to be able to host here. And I'm a proud Union graduate, as well as a lot of people that are back at the school. So this is neat to see what it's become over the last 20 plus years. So this time I'd like to introduce our head track coach, Steve Patterson, who's with us new this year. A special guest, Assistant Superintendent Charlie Bushyhead, back in the back. And then we have two ladies that run our office for us that have come in here, and they're not going to like me introducing them, but Becky Blythe and Kathy Nichols will be a big part of all of the games that we have here, as well as hosting next year's game. So this time I'd like to introduce our head football coach and Associate Athletic Director, Kirk Frederick.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Again, thank you, Mansfield Schools, your administration, for reaching out and making one of these things possible. The coaches that are here taking time to do this. This is a neat deal. It means that, one, football is important, but I think relationships go hand in hand with that. And, you know, I've been here 11 years. We've played 8 of those years. We've played out-of-state opponents. This is the first time we've had a chance to sit down at a table against that opponent, and you make connections with people throughout life, and I think that this is really cool. Get the opportunity to catch up with a couple of old friends as well. And hopefully one of these days these players will bump into each other somewhere and say, oh yeah, remember that time at the Redskin room over there, you know. Be hard for Jenks to say Redskin room, I know, but you know, it's a neat opportunity, and we so much appreciate that. I've got a couple of our players here. I know track coach Steve Patterson as well, and then a couple of our players here. Peyton Thompson is our returning quarterback. Peyton will be a senior for us this next year. Outstanding young man. And JT McLeod. JT McLeod plays corner for us. He's also a track athlete, and we're excited. When we talk in our program, we talk about 21-hour athletes. You know, what are they doing the 21 hours away from us? They're usually with us about 3 hours a day. These two young men are great ambassadors for that within our program. Two guys that live like champions 24 hours a day, and so we're very proud of those guys. Got a small group of young men that are coming back with those guys. We'll return 9 guys. It may be a little deceptive because we had several in the 2 deep that played quite a bit last year. We're in the rotation. We had a little more than 22 starters last year. A few of those guys played some extra, but for us, we're going to be trying to replace a couple of linemen. Definitely a receiving core that was very talented last year. We got to figure those guys out, right, Peyton? Okay, got to figure out the receiving core, and looking for a few safeties. But again, with the nucleus of our group, we've got 3 returning guys on the offensive line and a tailback, and some decent guys up front. And we'll give some love to a kicker because we've got a really good one. Be a 3-year starter for us, Noah Rauschenberg. He's not with us today, but it's always fun as a coach not to have to worry about that part of the game. So again, we look forward to a great competition, and look forward to playing against Lake Ridge. Look forward to hosting those guys. And again, this is a pretty cool deal. I love we're doing the track meet. You know, maybe in the future we continue to do something like this. We get some other sports involved with volleyball or some other things that really make this a neat partnership over the years. So thank you very much.
Okay, before we shut down here, Mr. O'Neill and I can stand up here and answer some questions, or you might, if you have questions for any of the coaches, you can ask them as well. Once again, I want to thank Mr. O'Neill. This was, as far as we think he is the one that has gotten all this started, and we want to thank you for the great job you've done. He started with the partnership. It isn't us telling you all what to do or anything. We're all going to work together, and that's exactly how it's been. And I tell you, after hearing all of our coaches talk, I mean, I'm very impressed with all the coaches, very impressed with all the players. I think the of the players. We're going to have great games, great competitions, and also build great relationships. And once again, Mr. O'Neill, thank you very much. And why don't you come up here with me, and we'll answer any questions anybody has, or if you want to direct them to a particular coach, you can do that as well. So if there's any questions, we'll answer them. If not, then we would be done unless somebody else has something else to say. Okay, it's looking like there's not any questions, but like I said, we want this relationship to grow and get more students involved, more sports involved, and I just see nothing but great events coming. So again, thank you, thank the media, and I thank all of you for coming here. Mansfield came from 5 hours away, fought the Dallas traffic to get here, which is not easy if you've been in that before, and thank you again for being here. We appreciate it.
If I could have all the players come up front real quick, we're going to get a group picture of all y'all. Just come up here to this table and gather around there, and then we'll let the media get to you.
How are you?